Hey, welcome. My name is Doug Duguay, and I'm here with Marty Jemison. We're going to talk about today's Ronde van Vlaanderen. You rode the race a couple times here. I see on cycling stats you rode in '99 and 2000.
Yep, two times I believe. That's right. Maybe a third time, but yeah, two times for sure.
And you rode. You were telling me beforehand you rode every single classic except for the Tour of Lombardy.
Yep, as far as I can remember, Tour de Lombardy is the only classic that I never raced. Not necessarily personal objectives. When you're on a team, you're kind of told where to go. So with some input, but I don't think, back in those years, I don't remember us even going to that race.
Yeah. So 2000, you had a great race. You were at the front for a lot of. I'll pull up the video. It's on YouTube. You were pulling in the front of the race for quite a ways. So cool. Yeah. Tell me your impression on today's race.
I thought it was spectacular. It's Belgian religion, right? I mean, you just get caught. I didn't, it's early morning for me here, so I don't have a Belgian beer in my hand, but that would have brought it together. But just, just the fans, the riders, and then, as someone who has participated in the race, you can't even imagine the pain cave going up each of those climbs. When you're hitting over 20% on cobbles, the pain cave is just insane. And then the screaming fans are just like a dull kind of drum on the sides of where you are. It's amazing.
Yeah. Are you able to tune it out a little bit and go within, or is it?
It's not a matter of you tuning it out. It simply is tuned out because you're so focused.
Right.
You're so focused, you're aware of it. But in those moments of extreme pain, it's there, but it's drummed out by default.
Yeah. Who do you think that was the strongest rider of the race today?
I thought Pogačar was the strongest guy in the race, but I don't think he rode the smartest race.
Yeah, he seemed to be wanting to flex a lot, prove himself to be the strongest, maybe a little too much.
I really do believe that. He was very animated. He definitely was showing himself to be the strongest guy in the race. But I think, Mathieu van der Poel, if there's textbook, how do you win a race? He played textbook by hiding in the shadows and just not showing his strength until the very end.
Yeah, he looked a couple times, well, in particular on the Patersburg, he looked a little bit in trouble, but you were saying earlier.
Well, you know what? I think, that could be very well be true. We don't know if he was backing off with his power. Maybe, that might send a signal to the car, which might send a signal to Pogačar. I mean, you really don't know, because Pogačar would get that information in the ear. So was it real or was it not real? I don't, Van der Poel, he just looked smooth, cool, and calm the whole day. And I think Pogačar was really flexing, one of his first cobble classics ever. No question he could come back and, annihilate now that he knows the race a little bit. Right. But I think this time he was, maybe he rode the race with a little less pressure because it was his first cobble monument. A little less pressure, meaning he could just maybe make some mistakes. That's what I saw.
What do you think about the sprint at the end? Do you think he made some mistakes in that by not taking up?
By not taking up, what do you mean not taking
up?
Well,
it came to almost a track stand, it seemed, at that particular point.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly was going on there, but it was dramatic. It was exciting, unexpected. And, again, I think Van der Poel, I think he just, for one reason or another, he seemed like he was cool, calm, and collected, and that he really knew what he was doing and he was confident. So that's what I saw. But, getting caught at the end and then Pogačar kind of getting pinched so that he couldn't freely get second or third place. That was unexpected.
Yeah, he rode himself off the podium a little bit.
Yeah, that was a mistake, but I just didn't see his head focused 100% for the win. So You know, if that sprint, if he was ready to start that sprint 100% in the win to win, I just didn't see it. He wouldn't have. It just, that's not what happened. And Van der Poel just, he had all the confidence of what was going on.
You know, he's only been back for 2 weeks now. I think this is, yeah, he's been back. His first race back was Milan San Remo 2 weeks ago, 15 days
Yeah.
ago. And boy, you know, he came back at the top position again.
It's impressive, you know, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Although, you know, it's an early part of the year. So even though like Milan San Remo is really, that's, I mean, that race kind of opens up the engines of everybody who's put in massive, you know, base miles throughout the winter. And of course you have races leading up to Milan San Remo, but Milan San Remo really opens up the engine before you head north and go into the classics.
Yeah. Yeah. And they added 20 kilometers to the race this year for whatever reason. Do you think those 20 kilometers make a difference in a race like this, or?
Remind me, I didn't see, what's the total distance?
272.
272?
Yeah, and in 2000 when you wrote it, it was 268 kilometers.
Okay, so do I think it makes a difference? No, not. I mean, I think that's. I mean, if you do the percentage on that, you're still in the 95 percentile of distance, correct?
Right, right,
I mean, it's like it's sixes.
right.
20 more K. No, I mean, I don't think that makes a big difference. If you were talking more like 40 K, you know, maybe that starts to tip it for, you know, really what it really does is shuffle the deck a little bit, making it a little bit easier for somebody and harder for others.
Right, right.
I mean,
Now, when you rode, you didn't ride the Koppenberg, right?
I don't think so. Not during Tour of Flanders. I mean,
They had the crash with Jesper Skibby in 1987, and then they took it out of the race for.
You know, I've raced up the Koppenberg, so I don't know when I did it, but we did, and I remember clearing it, you know, with no issues. So I mean, I remember climbing it, thinking about Skibby's crash, but so I did race it at some point, but I don't know which race it was. I have to go back in history and look and try and figure that out.
Yeah, Valentin Madouas. You rode with his dad.
Oh, Laurent Madouas.
Yeah.
That's the.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I'm laughing. You know, I mean, I saw his name in the race, and I didn't put it together. And just you asking me that question, of course, I'm putting it together like right now, and that's making me laugh. I mean, how do I feel? That's hilarious. I mean, time passes too quickly, and now, you know, we get old too quickly. Laurent Madouas was a great guy, so I know this, you know, his son must be of good character.
Tell me again what you saw from Pogačar about 55 kilometers out.
Approximately 55 kilometers out when Pogačar, he made a move on the Quermount from pretty far back, so he was passing a lot of guys. You know, I think, you know, showing himself, showing that he was the strongest horsepower within the race, but maybe tactically not the best thing to be doing, to be burning so many matches at that moment. Although that said, burning all those matches, he still had plenty of firepower throughout the rest of those 55 kilometers to the finish, just coming up short in the sprint. And
maybe it helped to split the group a little bit, to put
pressure on. There was a little bit of regrouping, and you know, you have to imagine that puts a lot of stress and pressure on all the guys. I mean, it puts the fear into a lot of guys and puts everybody, you know, on high alert to bring things back together, or realize that you're being distanced and you're not going to come back. And that's kind of what's happening at that moment. There was a bit of regrouping. There was a bit of, you know, there's the slinky effect was happening. The elastic band, you know, guys that are caught in the back are really going to have to dig deeper. And then, you know, the last 20 to 30K, 20K was pretty cool, calm and collected with the five guys up front, and not a serious chase from behind.
No, you know, it seemed like there were a lot of teams. You saw Jumbo Visma, they were nowhere. well, and I shouldn't say nowhere. I mean, but they kind of missed out on it.
You know, and you have to realize, I mean, you mentioned yourself, Belgium and the religion, that it's, you know, it's akin to religion within Belgium. Jumbo-Visma missing out, you know, that's Dutch powerhouse, right? Dutch powerhouse team, and missing out on that monument it's huge. I'm telling you, that's between the Belgian teams and the Dutch teams, it's everything up in that part of the world. And to largely not be animated in the front would be very disappointing for that team.
Right, right. Bike Exchange missed the move, and a bunch of other teams.
Yeah.
You know,
And if they missed the move, you really didn't see them fighting that hard behind.
yeah,
I mean, that was a little bit surprising to me, you know, in a classic, in a monument like this, you know, usually it's a fight death till the end, right? But today we saw 5 riders pretty comfortably riding those last, you know, I don't know exactly, it was like the last 20K anyway, before, you know, our 2 riders, you know, distanced themselves. But on the what was that, last time up the Quermount?
yeah. Do you think it's intimidating to have Van der Poel and Pogačar up front?
You
And
know,
would that would teams maybe look at that and say,
no.
race is over?
You know what? That's amateur. That's amateur racing. That's not professional racing. Professional racing would ride to the death till the finish, because anything can happen.
Right.
So intimidating. I mean, sure, you're aware of it, but you don't give up. Professional riders don't give up, or, you know, there's a word in my vocabulary I don't like to use, shouldn't give up. I don't like that word, but in professional racing, from what I'm used to, you ride till the very end. You know, it's forward movement constantly. So no, intimidated. No, you don't think that. You're not thinking. Yeah. I mean, it's in the back of your head, but again, you don't stop racing.
Right. The directors are probably going to be screaming in their ears to put something together.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it seemed like there were a lot of teams maybe in that back group, and I don't think there were a lot of I mean, Quick Step.
You know what? We haven't mentioned Quick Step, and like, did we see them organize? We didn't see that, did we?
No.
So I think that's, you know, maybe we're both chatting about this and realizing that there wasn't enough organization between those teams to really, I mean, where was Jumbo-Visma? Where was Quick Step? And why didn't they really get on the front and really, you know, really work hard to bring back that break?
Yeah, put a couple riders up front, and
yeah. We didn't see that, did we?
No, not at all.
So I would say, you know, I hope they get, I mean, I don't read Dutch and I don't read Flemish. I can understand a little bit, but I hope they really get beaten up in the press by tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably warranted. Amstel Gold Race next week. I think it's Amstel. Have you ever done that race?
They changed the schedule, yes.
Yeah, no Roubaix. Usually it was during the week it was Ghent Wevelgem, and then on Wednesday, and then they would do Roubaix the next day, or sorry, the following Sunday.
Right. So that's imprinted in my head. So the new schedule is something I'm not used to.
It's probably good for the riders, though. Do you think? You know, get a week, an extra week of rest in between.
Well, I think you know what, it changes everything. And I don't know if that week of rest, it just changes the rhythm. It changes the rhythm. So if you talk about previous history, you would have guys doing like 4 days of Dunkirk, and then leading into, you know, Flanders, Ghent Wevelgem, and Paris-Roubaix. And then that large group of 200 guys would largely disappear. And then you'd have a whole bunch of new guys come up and do Liège-Bastogne-Liège, Flèche Wallonne, and Amstel Gold. So that's kind of like 2 different pelotons. And then there was one year I did every single one of them, because they were, you know, I mean, I think the team was trying to kill me. And there were only 3 riders in the professional peloton that did like all 6 of those races. It's more than 6 races, but there were only like 3 of us that did that. So anyway, a week off and then Paris-Roubaix, that it actually might make it more difficult because, people are trying to stretch their peak because really you're peaking, the best riders in the world, they're peaking for this moment. So one extra week of it's not rest, it's how do you peak correctly in both? If you're focused on Flanders and Roubaix, Amstel Gold in the middle, that doesn't work. So it's changing the rhythm. So really, let's see what happens.
More days to recon the course.
What's that?
More days to recon the course.
I don't, that's not going to change it up. People will recon, 4 days or so before the race that, they'll recon.
Yeah.
We didn't recon all races, but if those that want to recon it, you can. We always recon Paris-Roubaix and Flanders because the corners and the order of when the cobbles come, that's very, very important to be in position and know what's coming up. That reduces stress. I don't think we ever reconned. We didn't recon like Amstel Gold, for example. But we had back to today's race. The Dutch took first and second, 2 Dutch riders. So those guys are peaking, and those guys I could see on fire for Amstel Gold, and then maybe not be on fire at Paris-Roubaix. Just kind of general terms, because listen, Amstel Gold for the Dutch, I mean, that's in Holland.
Yeah.
So you got 2 Dutch guys, they're on top of the world right now, having 2 guys first and second. They're going to go into Amstel Gold. They're going to go in Amstel Gold full gas, and maybe we see them, content and fading away for Paris-Roubaix, where they can kind of just come off their peak. They'll still race, but maybe they're going to.
Van der Poel, though, that's a big race. That's got to be a big race for him now.
Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Van der Poel has two Ronde van Vlaanderen to his name. The record, of course, is 3. So he's actually 27 years old. He has 2 wins in the race. Do you see him breaking the record?
I think we both see that, don't we? I think let
so.
Van der Poel be the first person to have 4 Ronde van Vlaanderen Tour of Flanders wins on their palmarès.
Yeah. It seems like a big step. Like Merckx only has 2. It's probably the least amount of win. To say Eddie Merckx only has 2 wins and something. He had 7 wins in Milan-San Remo.
Right, but we don't know his. We don't know what his, his focus was, or his, whatever motivated him. Interesting that he wasn't motivated in his hometown or his home, his home country. But
can't be an easy race to win, though.
What's that?
It can't be an easy race to win with so many people gunning for it.
You know what?
You find a way.
None of these races are easy to win. Yeah.
Have you ever run a tour in conjunction with the classics?
Yes. So I've done a handful, like maybe 4 or 5. And I've split it between trips, just like I told you, between the splits of pelotons. So we've gone up to see Flanders, Ghent-Wevelgem, Gem, and Paris-Roubaix, and then I've had trips to go up and see Flèche Wallonne, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and which one am I missing? I'm missing one. Not Amstel Gold. Yeah, Amstel Gold.
Yeah, Amstel Gold. I went to Amstel Gold in 2000, and it's a fun race to watch because you're always within Maastricht, and you can, see the race in multiple locations.
How many times did you see it?
I think I saw it 6 or 7 times. I was on my bike, and
so
just jumping.
So did you follow some local guys and get on the bike pass to go cut the course to see at different places?
I did, and I think for a lot of reasons that probably makes Amstel Gold Race a pretty cool race to see. Right. I mean, Roubaix, you're not going to see it as many times, right?
Correct. I think in Paris-Roubaix we've maybe seen it 5 times, but I'm driving the van I get the van on two wheels because I'm screaming around corners, and we're sprinting to the van to get back in the van. Yeah. But with what you did in Amstel Gold, we have also done. I think we also saw it like 6 times, but you can do that with a small group of guys but definitely want some Dutch guys that know that exactly every one of those little, because you get little bike paths that go between the pastures, right?
Right.
They're not road, little bike paths, and then you have to know the way to get to those 6 spots to see the race.
Yeah. I was with an
And
American guy who was living over there, and
yes,
he knew
yep,
his way.
you must have local knowledge. And possibly with my recon, I could have done 4 of those times, but I know that the times I took my group, I was freshly retired as a pro, and I had local guys coming up to me and say, Marty, because they knew me,
Right.
do you want to go see it in another spot? And so we jumped from like my planned 4 times, we got 2 extra times because local guys jumped in with our group and told us where to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty fun to watch.
But
Well, I'll include the link to your tours in the description of this. Any other knowledge you want to drop on us to close this out?
any other knowledge? I'll just tell you, it's just thinking
Bicycle
back,
racing
like
is religion in Belgium.
bicycle racing is religion in Belgium, and just the peak of physical fitness when you're at that level to race, within the camera views of those monuments is just something unfathomable.
Yeah.
Unfathomable.
Yeah, you'll be one of very few people that have finished and done this. What percentage of the aspiring bicycle racers have done this?
Right. Right. And sadly, our country doesn't have quite the depth of racing that I don't see the depth of racing in the country that's going to really produce it's not an easy segue to that world. So honestly, I left the country and went to Europe and raced. So I raced 3 years in amateur racing in France and Belgium before I made the steps to become a pro. And maybe with the lack of racing in the United States right now, if anybody has aspirations, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah, it takes a lot of ambition to do that. And probably it's not an easy road to take, I would imagine.
Not at all, but that's indicative of just being in a bike race.
Yeah,
you must have that ambition in the bike races as well.
Cool. Well, thanks, Marty. We'll put this up online pretty shortly. Thanks for your help. We appreciate it.
Welcome, Doc. You're welcome. Thanks.
Yeah.